Am I the a-hole for insulting my husband after he asked for a paternity test and suggested I cheated? I, 25 female, just had my first child with my husband, 29 male of 4 years. He is white and I am mixed race, but very white passing. I was raised by my adoptive parents, however, I have reconnected with my biological paternal family. My biological mother was white and I look a lot like her. My biological father, whom I call my AITAH, is Inuit, and we look very little alike, but we are getting closer emotionally. My son looks so much like my AITAH, and I cried when I saw him for the first time. He has darker skin than my husband and I, but he has my husband's eyes and nose. After he was born, my husband was cold and distant. He wouldn't hold our son. He wouldn't show me affection. Even when my AITAH came over and I took a bunch of pictures of grandfather and grandson, my husband refused to connect with our son. He demanded a paternity test a few weeks ago. I was upset, but complied. He is the father, as I knew he was. I told him that I was a prime example of not looking like my biological father and that I felt he was an idiot for suggesting I was cheating. He shot back with, "Well, how do I know the man you bring around is actually your dad and not your affair partner?" Yes, he insinuated I lied about my AITAH being my dad and that I was sleeping with him. I regret saying it because I had promised to leave it behind, but I said, "Well, then say hello to Sarah for me." Sarah is the woman my husband had an affair with 2 years ago. He broke it off and we reconciled, but I feel like it was rich of him to accuse me of cheating when he was the one who cheated in the first place. He called me an a-hole for bringing it up, and now we're not speaking, and I've moved into the nursery. I'm considering divorce, but also thinking about my words, which were hurtful and uncalled for. Am I the a-hole? Edit, a clarification and definition. AITAH means dad-father in Inuktitut. Relevant comments. Not the a-hole, how is you bringing up something that actually happened worse than him implying your father was your affair partner and possibly the father of his child? That's disgusting. I'm not sure I could come back from that. Right? What the heck? That's your dad. He actually cheated, yet he's accusing you. Sorry to say, but he's probably cheating again. That's typical modus operandi, to accuse you of what they are doing. He's not even just accusing her of cheating. He's accusing her of coming up with an extremely elaborate lie about finding her birth parents and spending time with them, just so she could have an affair in a slightly less conspicuous way. That's totally unhinged. His opinion of her is so far from reality that she really has no relationship at all with him at this point. This guy is such a cheater that he's going to be incapable of not projecting the same onto every woman he's ever with, no matter who they actually are. He's doomed to live a sad, suspicious, and lonely life. How dare you throw in my face that I actually did what I accused you of doing? This husband of yours is a piece of work. I don't know what you are getting out of this relationship, but it's not a stretch to say that you can do better. Not the a-hole. Almost always, I've known several couples where one starts blindly accusing the other of cheating, only to turn out they were the one having an affair. I worked with a lady, and she confided in me what a horrible accuser her husband was. She said that's why she never goes to lunch with anyone. Regardless if it's a group or same-sex lunch date, it doesn't matter. It just wasn't worth the grief he'd give her that evening. Same thing with work functions like holiday parties and whatnot. She said she'd love to go, but then her husband would accuse her of cheating with any male coworker who spoke to her at the event. Anyway, I told her it sounded like he was the cheater and was projecting his wrongdoing onto you. I guess that bug got into her brain because a few days later she went through his phone while he was in the shower and he was seeing 2 other women. Would I be the a-hole for dumping my girlfriend after she ignored my calls and messages and went clubbing while I was undergoing emergency surgery? I, 22 male, and my girlfriend, 22 female, have been together for 5 years. We've been together since high school, and until recently, I've always considered her to be my future wife. I've even bought a ring and was planning on proposing over the coming months. Well, last weekend it was my girlfriend's best friend's birthday. She and her friends booked a private lounge at a club. Obviously, I didn't go since I wasn't invited, and I hate clubbing or anything associated with that. I was actually looking forward to spending an evening alone and just binging Netflix or something. Well, My girlfriend left around 9 p.m., and I just crashed on the couch and watched some YouTube. Well, around 11 p.m., I started to feel this distinct stomach pain. The same pain you experience when someone hits you in the nuts. It wasn't bad at first, and I just thought my body was playing some tricks on me. But in the span of about 5 minutes, the pain just kept getting worse until I was basically stuck in the fetal position on the couch. Again, initially, I just thought the pain would go, but then I pulled down my pants and it felt like my right testicle was starting to swell. The moment I tried to get up and grab my phone to inspect whatever the fuck was happening to me, I just collapsed to the floor. That was probably the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Imagine being pelted in the nuts over and over again. I did manage to crawl to the table next to the couch to get my phone. I immediately tried calling my girlfriend, but she declined my call. I then texted her that something was wrong and she could come home immediately. The club she went to is like a 5-minute walk from our apartment. I just put the phone down and started throwing up because of the pain. After throwing up for like a minute, it felt like the pain started to cool down a bit, and I grabbed my phone again, and that's when I saw her response. She just replied with a, "What is it?" I tried calling her again, but as expected, she just declined again. I then texted her that I need to go to the hospital now. She then asked for what, and I just replied with my balls hurt. I then just dialed for emergency services. I explained my situation to the emergency responder, and she asked if there was somebody that could drive me to the hospital, and I stupidly said yes. I thought my girlfriend would be home soon and she would drive me to the hospital. I felt embarrassed to call an ambulance because my balls hurt. After I told the emergency responder this, she then told me that she would call me again in 10 minutes to make sure I was being driven to the hospital. I then put down the phone and went back to vomiting on our carpet. Again, after the pain went away for a bit, I checked my phone and saw that my girlfriend just responded with laughing emojis. I again tried to call her, but as expected, she just declined again. She texted me that this wasn't the time to play games, and she then told me that if I texted or called her again, she would block my number. I again tried calling her, but she declined again, and when I tried calling her a second time, I realized she actually blocked me. I went back to curling up on the floor, and now I started shivering. At this point, I didn't care about being embarrassed and just called emergency services again and asked for an ambulance. It felt like an eternity, but the ambulance eventually came and rushed me to the hospital. I don't remember much of surgery since I was sedated, but I remember waking up eventually, and my right testicle was being stitched together. The doctor informed me that I had a testicular torsion, and I was extremely lucky to reach the hospital in time. I could have easily been forced to surgically remove my testicle. I checked my phone and saw the missed calls and messages my girlfriend left me. In summary, she came home from clubbing and smelled the vomit in our apartment. When she saw the vomit on our carpet, she got mad and tried searching the apartment to find me. When she realized I wasn't there, only then did it hit her that I was actually being serious. I just texted her in which hospital I was staying in and my room number, then went to sleep. I woke up the next morning and saw my girlfriend sleeping on a couch next to my bed. After she woke up, she started bombarding me with apologies. She thought I was joking, that I was trying to ruin their night, etc. I didn't have the energy to argue, so I just kept quiet. I was beyond hurt by what she did, and I wanted to break up with her then and there. Why the F would somebody ignore messages where their partner is begging them to come home? Not only that, she stayed in the club until 3 a.m. and didn't even consider going home to check on me. She did stay with me in the hospital for the remaining 2 days I was admitted there and did take good care of me, but I was still beyond pissed at her. Ever since coming home yesterday, I've been wanting to dump her, but at the same time, I feel like she genuinely thought I was joking and made a mistake. I feel conflicted and don't know how to proceed in this situation. Would I be the a-hole if I dumped her? Am I overreacting? How would you guys navigate this mess? Edit. Just to clarify, no, I never had an issue with her going out in the first place, or have ever pulled pranks for her to come home from a night out. And by the way, thank you guys so much for the support. I'm beyond blown away. Relevant comments. Even if she thought you were joking, you deserved a phone call. Your partner should be worried about you versus, why are you ruining my night? Have you ever done this before? She could have called to confirm something was or was not wrong when you said hospital. I would really consider if you went to continue this relationship. She prioritized partying over a phone call, heard hospital, and still blocked you, and was planning on yelling about the vomiting. I wish you well in your healing. If you were in her shoes, having fun with your friends, you would still go check on her. Why? Because you love her and want to make sure she's okay. Imagine yourself blocking your girlfriend when she says she needs help just to have fun for one night. I hope it helps you realize that no one that actually loves you deals with this situation the way she did. She showed no concern, no empathy, and no effort. The fact that her first reaction to finding your puke is to be mad instead of being worried about you is insane. Imagine if she puked while she was sick. Would you be mad at her? Please realize that this is not someone that cares for you on an equal level. Yeah, the puke thing pissed me off beyond belief. Thank you. In fairness, my balls hurt does kind of sound like you're taking the piss. That said, unless you routinely cry wolf or try to invent excuses to keep her from going out or ruining her night, her refusal to pick up the phone and then blocking you seems like an incredibly shitty thing to do. Like, I can't imagine doing that to my husband. Maybe have a conversation with her about how upset this has made you and go from there. Am I the a-hole for talking to a girl in bikini on a beach? My wife, 35 female, is making me, 37 male, write this post. She feels my behavior during our vacation was completely inappropriate, while I think that it was completely acceptable and she is wrong. She loves this subreddit and wants for all of you to weigh in on our debate and solve this issue for us. We have been married for 7 years and have a 3-year-old toddler. A few weeks ago, we went to Miami for a vacation and had a fun time. On the second day on the beach, we were relaxing on the beach chairs. My son and I were playing on the beach while my wife was soaking in the sun. I must add here that I love her very much, and she is the most beautiful person I have ever laid eyes on. At one point, my son wanted to build a sandcastle, and I took him to the wet sand near the water with all his plastic toys. While he was playing, a lady, mid-30s, walked up to us and told me how cute my son is. I smiled and said thanks. She was looking towards the water constantly, and I think her kids must be in the water and she was watching them. Now, according to my wife, she was wearing a completely inappropriate, over-the-top bikini that left nothing for imagination. According to me, I did not notice what she was wearing and have no comments. She was trying to make small talk and was asking me about my son's name, how old he is, where we are from, etc. I was also polite and had a brief conversation with her. We talked about where we are from, how long we were in Miami, etc. Finally, my son had enough and he wanted to go back. So I said bye and came back and sat next to my wife. The whole conversation may have lasted for less than 10 minutes. My wife was not happy with me talking to this lady. She kept on telling me how inappropriate it was to talk to that girl in the tiny bikini and that she was trying not to flirt with me. I told her what we talked about, and it was not even remotely flirty. I told her that this is common, and when my son is with me in the park or other places, he gets a lot of attention from other moms, and they always come and have a chat. My wife has seen this play out before and never had a problem with it. My wife thinks that this is different because that girl was in a very revealing bikini, and I, as a married man, should know better than talking to her. We saw that lady a few other times during our stay, and I cut our conversation short every time she tried to talk to me. My wife cannot let this go. She thinks that I should admit that it's different to talk to a girl in a social setting versus when she is in a bikini on a beach. I feel having small talk with someone is fine irrespective of their state of dress or undress. So, dear Reddit forum, please settle this debate for us. Is my wife correct that I am the a-hole for talking to a girl when she is wearing a bikini? Or she is being unfair to that lady when she was wearing an appropriate outfit for the place where she was? Note that my wife will also be reading the replies, so please be nice when telling her how wrong she is. Wife here. I think he wrote this post omitting key details. The girl on beach was clearly flirting and leaning too close to him. She may not have said it explicitly, but you could see she was interested. She also kept on popping up in resort restaurant, bar, and lobby after this incident and tried to keep on talking him through the week. It was disrespectful as she did not say a single word to me the whole time. I am not saying my husband was flirting with her, but he should have read her body language and shut her down. Plus, there is bikinis, and there was her bikini. Something with her was clearly off. Relevant comments. Know the a-hole. I have been married 37 years. Your wife should let this go. You were not trying to pick the woman up. You were at the beach. If anything, she should feel good that someone else thought you might be attractive. If your wife is half as beautiful as you say, then she has had plenty of guys talking to her regardless of what she is wearing. Again, she should let it go. Otherwise, both of you are going to start monitoring each other's conversations with the opposite sex. This is a slippery slope. My wife finds it hilarious when, according to her, other women try to flirt with me because I am completely oblivious, and she knows that. 1, I had no idea. 2, I'd never cheat on her, and 3, I honestly don't have the energy for that nonsense. Not the a-hole, your wife needs to chill. I've always been completely oblivious to women trying to flirt with me. Looking back now, huge facepalm at some of the signs I missed. A friend invited me to dinner at her place, was nicely dressed, cooked me a meal, casually dropped the line that she was wearing no underwear, and I was like, oh, okay, friendo. My poor wife shamelessly chased me for months. Also did the invite me over to cook for me thing, and I was just grateful this crazy, attractive friend of mine was being so friendly. She was about to give up, so her best friend got in touch and told me what was going on. From there, I took over. Update from the wife's perspective. I am the wife in this situation. My husband and I posted a debate we were having for the last week regarding an incident that happened during our vacation. Jesus Christ. I got it after the first 100 responses that I was wrong. Not everyone on Reddit needs to chime in on this one. I thought this forum would back me up, but guess I need to take this L like a champion. I am blessed to have a loving and caring husband and an amazing kid. I am also used to women flirting with him all the time. It's not just when our son is with him, but it has happened at his work, bars, weddings, and other places. The worst was when I was giving birth to our son, and the nurse helping with the birth told him that hair looks like Prince Charming. It was 6 a.m. in the morning, and he had just woken up, followed by telling him our son is so lucky that he got his blonde hair and blue eyes. The worst part is he is not very perceptive when women flirt with him. He thinks that most women go around talking to strangers and compliment them on their looks because that is his life experience. When I try to tell him that, he always gets very defensive. I do trust him with all my heart, though, and he is the best husband ever. Some of you asked me what happened from my perspective. I know there is no way for me to not seem like an a-hole when I write this, but this is what I saw. We were all enjoying our time on the beach. My son wanted to run around, and my husband volunteered to watch him and let me relax. I was enjoying the ocean and occasionally watching them. At one point, I saw my husband and son sitting on sand and a lady talking to them. No problem, she is just a passerby and noticed my toddler. I close my eyes, and after 5 minutes, I see again. And now, this lady is sitting next to my husband, and they are talking. I also noticed she was extremely attractive, and of course, I got a bit insecure since I have a mom bod now. She is laughing at God knows what my husband said. At this point, I started getting curious and was waiting for my husband to look towards me. He finally got up after my son was bored and came running back to me. I asked my husband who the person was, and he said just some mom on the beach having a small talk. I asked him what you guys were talking about, and he said the same things he wrote here. I told him she was gorgeous, and did he notice what she was wearing? He looked again at her and said, "Oh yeah, that's pretty bold." The whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. Then this lady kept on popping up everywhere we went, and we met her every day. My husband introduced me to her the first time we saw her, and she just walked right past me and started talking with her. I then told my husband I was not comfortable with his new girlfriend. I was teasing him, and my husband then immediately blew her off next time she showed up. When we came back, I told him about my insecurity when I saw him talk to her and she was sitting next to him. He again got defensive and told me that he was just being polite. This is when I told him not to talk to gorgeous moms in bikinis. He felt I was attacking him, but I could not help what I felt and was just communicating it to him. This was the silly debate we were having, and I thought you guys would have my back. Anyways, I will try to work on my insecurities and let him talk to moms in bikini. One PSA is please don't comment on that thread anymore and tell him how right he is. You guys are feeding the beast. Last night, he was sending me links to frames on Amazon because he wants to print out this thread and put it on the wall. He says it's his first win against me, and the next time we have disagreement, he can point to it and tell me about the time when thousands of people told me I was wrong. Relevant comments. I gotta say, you thinking the delivery nurse was hitting on your husband while you were birthing his baby indicates you might seriously want to go see a therapist about your insecurities. Is he from the South or somewhere that people are a lot friendlier, and you're from Seattle where strangers never really give compliments? It sounds like you take every female interacting with him in a positive way as a threat. Maybe skimpy bikini lady was a threat, and that's why she didn't acknowledge you in conversation. But I bet your husband has heard you claim 100 other random women are threats and is defensive at this point because he feels like he isn't doing anything wrong by answering politely. My husband was chatting with someone in a video game. I read some of their conversation, it was all in text, no speaking, and told him I thought the other guy was flirting with him. They chatted for a little bit more, and then he finally said, "My wife thinks you're flirting with me. Are you?" He said, maybe? Yeah, a little, I guess. It was hilarious. I'm not sure if he's any better at recognizing it now. I'll acknowledge I'm wrong, but I'm right. The women are flirting with him. He's just unperceptive and a defensive dunce. Stop telling him he's right. If you actually acknowledge your insecurities, then maybe, just maybe, he's right and these women weren't flirting and you were reading too much into it. Particularly the child birthing nurse. Wow. And it's possible that he's defensive because he has a right to be? And that one was the last story of this video. If you liked it, please consider to subscribe, leave a like, and activate the notification bell to be updated for new, more videos. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.